for staying with the Daily Report. We are still here with PS Susan Mangeni, PS for MSME, here in the State Department of MSMEs in the Republic of Kenya. Catherine Simaloi is still on sign language interpretation. PS, still on Amos, he asked, even as you talk about the credit repair mechanisms, he said, was the government bank guarantee removed for SME and micro small enterprises removed? Was the government bank guarantee removed for SME and micro small enterprises removed?
Well, I really don't understand
the
question.
Amos, please, if you could.
Amos, wherever you are, I wish you could expound more.
But then let's focus the bigger question.
Let me focus on the first question which he asked about the credit repair, whether we were able to repair the credits of many Kenyans. Let me say this, at the time of the launch of Hustler Fund, we had close to 8 million Kenyans who had been blacklisted by credit reference bureaus. Now, there is a Japanese saying on the same, it says, once discredited, always discredited. Now, what probably Kenyans may not know, and especially the people at the bottom of the economic pyramid, is that when it comes to blacklisting, once you've been blacklisted, you are likely to remain in that default status even for more than 5 years. You will remain there for a period not less than 5 years, even after you have repaid. So you can imagine, we had about 8 million Kenyans, and I'm assuming that majority of them were young people. Probably they're about 18 years of age, or between 18 years to 35 years. You remain in that default status, you know, for that period of time. It means you cannot borrow more, and you cannot even borrow affordably. So that's what it means. Every time when you go to the banks, and nowadays the bank have introduce risk-based financing, which is on individual basis. So they look at you and assess you on individual. So the kind of interest which they are going to charge you is based on your own individual assessment. Individual. It's not like a blanket interest rate. So you can imagine, when they go back to their history, they find you are still in default status, regardless of whether you had repaid your loan. So we realized that many Kenyans then were being condemned to economic death, if I can use that word. You are condemned. You can't borrow, and therefore you cannot participate effectively in the economy. So the Hustler Fund initiative was to disrupt that. And His Excellency the President, what he did, among the very first thing that the President did after taking office, was to have a meeting. And this was during the first week after taking office. He had a meeting with all relevant parties, all concerned parties, and these were the banks, especially those who are in the digital financing space, and most of our banks actually are in that space, and also the telcos, because those are the infrastructure. And then he reached out and reasoned with them and said, look, we cannot, there's no way we can rebuild our economy if that significant number of the people is outside there. They cannot be productive. And yet, you know, these are people aged 18 years and above who are in their productive age, if I could put it. And so they're outside there. They cannot participate effectively, because if you cannot access credit, there's no business which you can do.
True.
Then you remember also around that time, we are just also smarting from the corona pandemic and many other shocks, including the droughts, including the high inflation, the geopolitical, issues that are happening, Ukraine, Russia. All these issues do affect the micro, the MSMEs, and especially the population at the bottom of the economic pyramid. Some people think they're just global issues, but they do have an impact to anytime you disrupt the supply chain, then you also disrupting the environment of doing business, and we start feeling it. So again, those people, probably majority of them, it will not have been by their own, willing to be in the CRB. It could be maybe situational. So as a government, our work is to facilitate our population to rebuild their capacity so that they can be served better. So then the Hustler Fund also brought in the credit repair opportunity. And this is why we made it universal. Remember, during the initial period, that some people even tried to go to court to say, you should just have given this facility to only hustlers. Then I was asking myself, so who is a hustler in the definition? Because, and we made it so much universal, anybody who could just access *254#. We even zero rated. I mean, you don't need any airtime, even if you are on Okoa. And regardless of the telco that you have subscribed in, you can still access Hustler Fund, is zero rated, *254#, you signed up. What we needed is to establish first of all, the credit history of Kenyans, make them become more visible, so that then the mainstream financing sector, the banks, can serve them well and can serve them adequately. So as per his question, whether this is being achieved, yes, I can say this is being achieved. And today, as we speak on Hustler Fund platform, especially on the personal loan product, we have a repeat customer base of 8.8 million Kenyans. Now, of course, you cannot be a repeat customer if you are not in good credit standing. And like I've said, when now we applied our Hustler Fund behavioral rating system, we have close to 6 million people who are rating in A's and B. The beauty with this is that all this work, we are doing it jointly with the private sector, because we are leveraging on the infrastructure of the banks, commercial banks. We're also leveraging on the infrastructures of the telcos. So the experience that we are achieving in this process is an experience that even the private sector, especially the financing institution, are getting aligned to. So when it comes now to graduation and reintegrating our beneficiaries who we think are good borrowers back to their balance sheet, I mean the banks, the commercial banks, it will not be, they will not be strangers. There will be people that they have seen through, nurturing their credit rating, and therefore the level of acceptability of serving these people is likely to be very high. Very high. So have we achieved that? Yes. We have achieved. Okay.
I see Zainabu, please keep your questions coming as well. I see Kevin Otieno. I also see who here, Jashon. I will be reading your questions shortly to the PS. Also on the other social media platforms as well. Please ask all the questions you may have about this. PS, before you get to the questions, there is this new product, the bridge loan. Let's talk more about it. It came in as quite an exciting product. What exactly was it supposed to do, and the bridge?
So the bridge, of course, as from the bridge, what we know about the bridge. So the personal loan, so Hustler Fund was designed to have a number of products. The first product was the personal loan, whose also main purpose was to provide, if you like, a credit card. So it created a platform where Kenyans can now demonstrate their credit behavior, they demonstrate, and acquire their credit history, you see? Because even having that opportunity for you to showcase your good credit behavior in the mainstream financing sector, it's near to impossible. Especially if you're coming from the bottom of the economic pyramid. So we created a platform, and the personal loan, where we have so far served 25 or opted in 25.3 million Kenyans. This is like a credit card. This is the credit card that the government of Kenya gave to its population. And like any credit card, like people who have credit card, yourself and myself and anybody who is in that formal space, your limit, you're given a certain limit, and if you prove that your credit your limit keeps on doing what? Growing. So this is the credit card we give to these people. You can borrow in a very decent manner without nobody knowing what you're borrowing for. Maybe you are expecting to get some money next week or after 2 weeks or so. So you could yourself just manage your credit line. So then what we have achieved from there is then now this credit profile that we can now have some idea on your credit worthiness. Then from there now, we, of course, around the same, after, in June 2023, we introduced another product, which was a group product. Now, this group product was, we were building on the model of chamas, you know, and the groups, and we are really targeting the women's, because what we realize is that most women, they like doing their things in a group kind of, and also leveraging and granting each other, you know, like now the model of table banking. So we said, if let's say on the personal product, your rating gives you a limit of 5,000, and you're in a group where someone else has a limit of 500, and so you can aggregate your credit, you know, limits and get a group now. You'll be assigned a group limit, which will enable you now leveraging on your members, you know, higher limits. Now also be able to access higher loan amounts than what you would have accessed had you borrowed as an individual. Of course, now that's where probably you can talk about the misses. The miss there was that I think the issue of the digital gap, especially as manifested between genders, you know, so that product not really, you know, the uptake wasn't that very high as we had expected, and we had hoped that this was going to be a game changer. But since we are really, we are discussing it and we are engineering it, because you see now how you are going to form groups, you are also going to form them digitally. So I know George, I know so-and-so, we come together, 10 of us, and then we onboard. So I send you a request. So you can imagine if you are in the space where your phone has not probably even charged, or you know, you are unable, even if you are prompted with a message, George has signed you up, you belong to this group, you know, those prompted, you need to respond immediately. And maybe, as has always been the case with the women in the rural areas, maybe their phone has not charged, they've taken it somewhere and is there for a whole night. By the time you come back, you are not able to catch up. So indeed, there was excitement at the beginning of it, because today we have more than 800,000 groups application in terms of people expressing interest to form groups. But now where we experienced challenge was now transitioning that into a complete group, because now all members of that group have to kind of give consent that I want to belong to this group. And then from there, of course, the process of borrowing and also giving consent once you have been assigned the group limit. Yeah, so you see, it was a little bit complex, especially with regard to the targeted population, in this case, who are women at the bottom of the economic pyramid. But how are we curing that? We now want to look at the physical loss onboarding, looking at the already organized groups. So what we do is just digitalize those groups, and then of course most of them have also, most members have borrowed on the personal loan. So based on the personal loan, the current personal loan rating, then after we have onboarded, we will work out now and aggregate their group limit. So we are going the route of acknowledging the groups that are already registered, either through social service or through other registration agencies like Micro Small Enterprise Authority, which is within our ministry, and see how to onboard. And then we just digitalize, so at least they will have sight of, we are together, we belong to this market, we are together, we belong to this location, and this is what we want to do. And like what you are doing, you are in Nairobi, your other group member is in Turkana, all those kind of things. Then the third product is now what we have launched, which is the bridge. So the 2 years experience, and we now Hustler Fund rating, which kind of gives us a sight of who are these beneficiaries that have demonstrated good borrowing behavior. So because of the rating, those who are rating A's and B's, now those are eligible for graduation. But you know, like any other rehabilitation, you do not just shock people to normalcy. Okay, so because again, if you do that, then they can lapse to their original status that you're trying to cure. So what we did, we needed to bridge. And now bridging is to graduate. As we graduate, and I'm happy because today, George, tonight, you have just graduated the bridge. Congratulations. And so when you are signing up, you are now, and you are A3, congratulations, George. And it's real. You need to tell the viewers that it's real.
Actually, we tried it.
We've tried it here, and you've seen you've graduated, and you know how much you can borrow. So now, once you are on the bridge product, these are the benefits. Okay. And within the bridge product, what are we trying to see? We now expose you to a banking environment. And when you are signing up, when you are opting in on the bridge product, you are being asked to select a bank. So still 254 hash, you start selecting a bank. After you've selected a bank which you are there, which I know you selected, I won't tell viewers which bank you pointed to. You also asked to indicate the purpose why you're borrowing. Remember, on the personal loan, we are not being asked what it is personal as it can get. You can borrow for business, you can borrow for whatever need that you have. But on the bridge now, we start being more specific. We want to understand these people who are good borrowers, what are they doing? So then we can come up with other intervention to support them even better. So first of all, we introduce you now to the banking experience. Initially on the personal, of course, digital loans, there is always a bank, but you really do not know which bank is serving you. But now the bank becomes more explicit, your relationship with the bank on the bridge product. Now, why are we asking you to pick a bank? So that now the bank can start building a relationship with you, getting to understand you. Some can start even visiting you and asking you, we have this opportunity coming up, maybe we have this facility. You see, they want to know you more so that then they can start supporting you. So why that is important is because when you go to the bank today to ask for a facility, they're going to ask you of 6-month bank statement. And you don't even have an opportunity to acquire that. Picture that young person who has just turned 18 years and does not have, he's not banked, he does not have an account. So how does this young person then acquire the banking experience? So we've created now that platform. So from the credit history which you have, we start now exposing your credit history to the banking environment. You start building your banking history. So from there, now the banks will be seeing and watch you now closely. Some of them will interact with you. If you don't have a bank account, they reach out to you. You will open a bank account. I know most of the people are selecting, some do not have a bank account, but they reach out to you. So that experience you're going to have there, and they will monitor what you're doing and how you are scoring. Because on the bridge product, 3 things will happen. Number 1, we'll seek to understand why you're, first of all, there will be the relationship with the bank, which bank of your choice, of course, the participating banks which are there, you choose. And then number 2, you will get to know why you're borrowing. Are you borrowing for business or even for personal emergency? Now, if you're borrowing for business, you'll be able to indicate the sector in which you're doing, and we have various categories that are there. So you'll pick whichever category is close to what you're borrowing for. And then why is that important? So that when the banks start interacting with you, they start now seeing which kind of support you need. Even for us in government, if we want, for example, to subject you to some sort of capacity building, it become more targeted, it become more specific to you to help you better. Then from there, the other thing is that your loan tenure is now extended,
Okay.
is doubled. From the personal loan and group loan, which was 14 days,
Yes.
we now extend that with another 14 days. So like you have almost a 30-day loan repayment period. So you can see, if you're borrowing for business, you can now do your business within a span of 30 days,
30 days.
and you have a rollover of once.
Okay.
Now, if you borrow within 30 days, we still maintain the same interest rate, 8% per annum.
Okay.
Now, the other thing is that depending on how you are rating,
Yeah.
I just want to talk about the benefit. When you move
We want to take a short break.
before we finish that,
Okay, okay.
probably I should have finished that so
Yeah.
that when it
All right.
goes. So, depending on how you are rating,
Yeah.
if you are rating A1, for example, your limit, your current personal loan limit, once you graduate to the bridge product,
Yes.
is tripled.
All right.
If you are rating A2, so there's some benefits, your limits gets enhanced. So you see, we have people today who can borrow up to 150,000 per transaction, which because they had they were hitting the maximum limit on the personal loan,
Okay.
and those people are in A1 category. So if their limit of personal loan was 50,000, today they can borrow up to 150,000.
Please hold that thought.
Thank
We
you.
come back after this short commercial break to continue talking about the Hustler Fund. Please keep your questions, your comments coming to stay with us.